Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Recovery. I am your host, Alain Kapata, and I am really delighted today to speak to Gary Malin, one of the most well regarded executives in our industry. Formerly, Gary was the president of City Habitat for more than 2 decades, and today, Gary is the chief operating officer at the Corcoran Group. But first of all, Gary, how's the week going for you so far?
Well, you and I had a bumpy start here, right? Technology.
Absolutely.
But other than that, things are going well. Things are warming up here in New York. So
Awesome.
we're a quick end to winter.
Awesome. That's awesome to hear. So we're gonna jump right in. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. The first thing that I wanted to ask you is, so as a COO today in this new role at Corcoran, leading the company with Bram Lehman, I was curious to if you could share with us some of the trends or new opportunities that you were seeing out there that could encourage real estate agents during this unprecedented pandemic, because they've been through a lot, and I was wondering if you've seen some things that could actually help them get a little bit more encouraged about what we're going through.
Well, listen, first and foremost, I think that regardless of circumstances, there's always opportunity if you look for it.
Absolutely.
I think that's the most important thing. I think staying optimistic, always honing your skills and making
Great.
you're doing everything that you can do as a real estate agent to generate business is essential. So
Absolutely.
technology plays a very big role. Over the last 2 years in particular, just with all the down social distancing and everything that came along with that, we all had to pivot our businesses, right? We needed to figure out a way to add value to our agents' lives, add values to our clients' lives, and make sure that we were staying connected. So obviously technology, whether it's people doing videos, people doing, Facebook Live, people doing virtual staging, 3D renderings, you name it, it was always critical to find a way to communicate with your clientele, provide value in a way that felt safe to them, but at the same gave them this sort of understanding of what they're looking for. So I think that all of us, made sure from that perspective that we were adding value. And I think for us, which was one of the sort of real successes that came out of the last 2 years, is we have a training studio. We call it the Agent Studio, where we're constantly offering trainings on every topic that you could possibly imagine to help agents grow their businesses and have lives and really just provide value. And historically, that was more of an in-person place, and we shifted to virtual. And the number of trainings that we were able to have, the number of people who were able to attend and sort of get value from that was exponentially greater than it was before.
Wow.
So that perspective, it's like you want to provide live training, but at the same token, you have to realize real estate agents are extraordinarily busy. They're out on the street. They're clientele. They can't necessarily always go to a physical location. So having it online really enhanced their learning capabilities and made us realize we need to keep on digging deeper in that regard.
Wow, that is awesome. To pivot a little bit on a completely different subject matter, because I was reading about this, and so I'm really interested about this industry and what it can do in the real estate industry. So I was curious about what you've seen and what you've observed maybe in New York City. But I've seen this property in New York that was, I think, a $29 million property that was offered exclusively in Bitcoin. So I was like, when I get an opportunity to chat with Gary, I need to know if you've seen this thing, if you heard anything about this thing. So I was curious about what are your views as it pertains to crypto being increasingly, I feel like, used in real estate transaction.
Look, I think that you would be remiss not to think about what, cryptocurrencies can and ultimately any environment. Obviously, we're talking about the real estate environment.
Yes.
And I think you need to be aware of that. I think that right now, if my statistics are correct, you're only seeing about 14 out of every 100,000 homes sold that are using cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
So effectively, it's a rounding error at the moment because it's in its infancy. And I can certainly see from a person who owns the cryptocurrency what the value to them is, right?
Yes.
Obviously, cryptocurrencies can rise or fall pretty meteorically, pretty quickly.
Agreed.
Like it could go up and it could go down in a matter of,
Absolutely.
and your sort of quote unquote fortunes could reverse.
Yes.
So it's nice if you're hitting that upswing, if you can convert your cryptocurrency and buy real estate, which is not subject to those wild swings in valuations.
Agreed.
So I see why, from that perspective, it's been great for those that have been able to sort of ride that, meteor and make that sort of money. From a seller's perspective, I guess there's two camps. Like,
yes.
People willing to take cryptocurrency and hold cryptocurrency because they believe cryptocurrency is going to rise exponentially. So not able to capitalize on the sale of their asset, but now they're owning something that has very great potential. Or are they just doing it for convenience purposes and allowing people to use crypto to make their transactions, to broaden their base of their potential clientele and have that crypto converted to cash? So yes. I think moment, it's important to always pay attention to what's going on. It's certainly not a significant percentage of the transactions today.
Agreed.
And I guess the question really is going to come is it going to stabilize?
Yes.
Right? Going to be subject to wild roller coaster rides. And any one of us is smart enough to have the answer to it. But I think it's like anything else. You can't not pay attention to it because it is something in today's lexicon on so many different ways. But at the moment, I don't see it being a big wave today, but it certainly could become one down the line for sure.
Got it. Have you some sort of a follow-up question on that? Did you have some demands as it pertains to buying or selling property on crypto for Corcoran, or is this something that down the road you're thinking about, or as you said, it's still a little bit marginal and you're just not looking into it as of now?
I mean, I have not heard any demand from our agents that part of their business or their seller's business. That doesn't mean those conversations haven't happened, but I think, using a sports analogy, we're probably in the first inning of what crypto can and will be in the real estate environment. I think what it really does, it allows people who have made these great bets to cash out and buy an asset, be stable, and have long-term appreciation, versus it being something right now that's really dominating the headlines about doing deals in crypto. I think it's still too early to tell what that's going to look like down the line.
Agreed, definitely. I completely agree with that. To kind of pivot back and come back into real estate matter, and especially talk about what's happening at Corcoran as well. So whether I'm currently in Paris here in France, and no matter where you look, feels like inventory supply shortage. It's a reality for a lot of agents. I see it here, but also see it with some of the customers that we have in the US. And I was wondering, what are you guys doing at Corcoran as it pertains to listing presentation to reassure sellers in this market, as it pertains to what Corcoran agents can do? Are they competent to help those customers, those clients, to evaluate things like multiple offer situation and issues like earnest money, short and closing times? Like, what are you guys doing to empower your agents on that front, specifically in this very, very complicated inventory supply shortage market?
First and foremost, I think that we're very fortunate at Corcoran to have a very talented group of agents that are extraordinarily knowledgeable, professional, have passion for the business, and really understand what's going on. So I think start from that foundation that Corcoran itself has a very long history in the residential real estate market. We've had tremendous years of success, and I think our reputation, enables people to feel comfortable that when they're working with a Corcoran agent, that they know this agent, is committed to their ultimate goals. But most importantly, I think it goes back to what we talked to a little bit earlier, is education.
Agreed.
We sure, whether it's through our agent studio or through our offices or setting them up with outside people who can come in. It's like you want to stay on top of the market. You want to understand what's going on, and you want to make sure that your consumer understands as well. And it's all about pricing, right?
Absolutely.
Data, and then some more data. If you have the right data, if you can sit down with your client, you can explain to them where the market was, where the market is, really provide them assurances that your goals align with their goals, which is to sell it at the best possible price in the shortest possible time. And I think at times, people don't really realize on the sales market in particular that when you're reading market reports, you're almost reading yesterday's news.
Absolutely. I
We're reading
agree.
that were put in contract maybe 6 months ago that are
Absolutely.
now. So there
Yeah.
could be a gap in understanding about what the market was and what the market is. So I think it's really sitting down with that individual, really understanding his or her desires. Like, what's important? Do you need to move in a short?
Exactly.
Do you have time?
Yes.
Set a little bit of aspirational pricing and see if the market comes to you. Do you want to set it a little bit below what the market is and potentially get involved in a bidding war? And I think
Agreed.
conjunction with your clients and understanding what their goals are ultimately leads to the most successful transaction.
Absolutely. Completely agree. We did a roundtable a few months ago with Jess Rossi from Coldwell Banker, but also Anthony Heath from Engel Volkers. It's exactly what you're just echoing there. It's really education, education, and education. And this is I think that this is the part, especially as you mentioned, you guys are fortunate to have incredible, knowledgeable agent at Corcoran. But this, to me, what separates Corcoran agents, and not to name any names, and other agents, let's say it that way. It's all about what you know and how well you can implement that to actually help your customer
Yeah, and listen,
get what they're looking for.
we pride ourselves on research, and we pride ourselves.
Absolutely.
We have an incredibly talented research team
Absolutely.
that put data together, and we're fortunate because we function in all aspects of the market, whether it's the residential rental market, whether
Exactly.
the sales market, or the new development market. We're able to see the broad spectrum of what's going on in the marketplace,
Yeah.
and that's really nice. Is obviously agents themselves who have forged relationships with other agents.
Absolutely.
Offices, they can really sit down and talk with one another and find out what's going on, because the stuff on the street changes so quickly as
So quickly.
and it's like sometimes whether you're dealing with a developer or you're dealing with an individual client, they're reading one thing but you're seeing something completely different. So we've done a lot to help clients understand market by holding focus groups and really
Absolutely.
understand like what is really happening today, like what's important to a client today, what neighborhoods are hot, what amenities are hot, what are they looking for down the line. And I think that sort of bringing collective knowledge together, especially when you're working with clients, reassures them
Absolutely.
you're getting multiple perspectives versus just one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Completely agree. This is a more personal one for you, Gary. Obviously a leader in this industry, I was wondering what are some of the lessons that you have learned, not only today at the end of Corcoran as a CEO, but also we can even tie it back a little bit to what City Habitat brought to you, and as it pertains specifically to this time of stewardship in crisis, because I feel like we are seeing a lot of leaders who are successful, especially in this time, and this is just my assumption. I feel like the leaders that are successful in this specific time that we're going through, those leaders are more often than not servant leaders before being just, let's say, bosses. And I was wondering, what are some of the things that you've taken away since COVID started, and specifically leading a company like Corcoran Group, and if you could share some of those nuggets with us.
Yeah, I'd love to. I've always said that we work for the agent and the agent doesn't work for us. And I think
Absolutely.
start with that foundation and understand that what an agent does for a living is extraordinarily difficult. I know that everyone's all the highlights and all this
Yes.
everything they see on TV and everything looks
Exactly.
unbelievably glamorous.
Exactly.
And don't get me wrong, it can be, but it's
Yeah.
also difficult. Like, there's waves of emotions.
Agree.
There's a lot of different types of clients that are out there. There was the shock to the system that we just went through. So what I've always relied on, and I will continue to rely on, is relationships.
Absolutely.
Foremost, this is a people business, right? Your people have to believe in you. Your people have to trust you.
Absolutely.
And you believe that you have their best interests at heart. And to me, it's always like blocking and tackling in that way, like spending understanding who they are and what's important to them. Fortunate that I've been in this company in one condition or another, meaning City Habitats or currently Corcoran,
Exactly.
1998.
Wow.
And I have who have worked with me for 10, 15 plus years. And it's all about the fact that there's trust. Like, they know that I have their best interests at heart. They know that I'm there to listen to them and help them.
Absolutely.
At the same time, give them advice. Sometimes it might not be necessarily exactly what they want to
Yes.
hear, but they know they need to hear a different perspective. So I
I
think
agree.
for us, communication during the pandemic was the most important thing.
Okay.
Whether getting in front of your management team multiple times a week, whether it was getting in front of the company often, making sure that you were aware of what was going on in the world and you were understanding how frustrating it was for them, and to not sort of diminish that and sort of
Absolutely.
respect that and let them know. But we're here to help you, and we're going to get through this together. You know, we're fortunate in the sense that we're part of a very large company, right? Realogy is a
Yes.
very successful company that has tremendous
Absolutely.
leadership. And I think the leadership around the company, obviously Pam on a local level and the
Yes.
executive Realogy, I think it gave people a lot of reassurance that our sort of focus was on, you know, sort of ruling the recovery, right? Like,
Agreed.
market turned. And
Yes.
once we positioned to excel, we were going to be ready to do that. And a good example, like when Pam and I would speak, it's like we made tactical financial investments in the company during COVID. We rolled out a
Wow.
state-of-the-art CRM for
Wow.
our theory was, if you wait to spend money when things,
Absolutely.
you're going to be behind the times.
I
Like
agree.
when the starting gun shoots, we want to be
Exactly.
not stretching.
Agree.
I think Ray understood that because of the training, because of the investment in services, because of the communication,
Yes.
they thought Corcoran had a plan. And it's reassuring to know that, like, we're not all ignoring what's going on. We're actually trying to lead our way through it.
Absolutely. I love the example when the gun shot, you don't want to be still at the starting line. That's a great analogy, actually, and it makes tons of sense too. To kind of close this off, Gary. So this is 2022 just started, and I was wondering. So some of the projects that this could be personal or business that you're really excited to work on for the year ahead.
You know, first and foremost, you know, I always think we have to continue challenging our business model. We have
Yes.
to continually say to ourselves, what more can we do? How can we grow? You know, I think the biggest problem most companies face is they become complacent, right? They determine
Absolutely.
a certain level of success, and it's just going to continue. But the minute
Absolutely.
you're making investments in yourself and in your business, it's the quickest way to see your business fall off a cliff. So I think we just want to make sure that we're analyzing what we do, that we're talking to our team, whether it's the corporate team, the agent population, find out what's working, find out what isn't working, and try to be more effective and more efficient in our business. And I think from one personal thing I'd always love to, you know, see happen is that agents really do have this tremendous opportunity to grow and build their careers.
Absolutely.
Obviously get so focused on the current transactions that they're working on that at times, because they are so busy, that they build for the future.
Sure.
And I people like time in, you put all this effort in, you make great relationships. The question is, how are you going to tap into that database of your? How can you get to their sphere of influence?
Exactly.
There's a statistic out there that says that any client you do business with, you should ultimately get 10 times the amount of that original commission.
Wow.
Future referrals. But the reality is, most agents, you know, because of just a variety of different focuses and reasons, don't necessarily tap into that. And I would love to see people like utilize the CRM to its greatest.
Absolutely.
But at the same token, as much as technology is great, and we can all say it makes you more effective and more efficient, I always sort of go back to what's old is new. Like picking up the phone.
Exactly.
And just saying, hi, how are you? I'm in your neighborhood. Could I take you out for a cup of coffee?
Absolutely.
Or gift, or just reminding them that you're available to service them and all of their referrals. It's sort of that one-on-one connection that I think sometimes, you know, especially lately, right? The last 18 months have been so unbelievably busy. There's many things people would like to be able to do that they just simply haven't had the time to do. So it's always sort of like, let's go back to some basics. And we can understand that and really execute on that. Their databases of clientele and business that they can generate, to me personally, is exponentially greater than they possibly could imagine. But I get that balance, work life, personal life, and doing all these different things. But I would love to see people really reconnect with their databases in a more meaningful fashion.
Absolutely. And I think that what you just shared again, Gary, those are the two pillars. Being able to go back to your database and, as you say, just pick up the phone and call people and, hey, can we grab a coffee and just hear what you're doing and where you're going? And I think that you mix those two. Yeah, I completely agree with you.
And it doesn't have to be about getting business today. I think
absolutely. Yes.
I always tell people we are in a hospitality business. We're not
exactly.
We're in the hospitality. Hospitality is about doing things for other people. Sales is good for you. And it's a subtle mind shift. But if agents can sort of understand that and realize, like, I'm planting seeds for the future. And whether it blossoms today, a week from today, or 5 years from today, it's all about maintaining these relationships, because you want to be their broker. You don't want to be a broker. And in order to be you need to be in their lives consistently in a way that they're beyond just real estate.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. Wow, that's awesome. Completely agree. Thank you, Gary. So this is just a personal message for me. Gary is somebody that I really wanted to talk to for the last 3 to 4 years, and just to get 20 minutes of his time today to chat about these things, this is a real treat. And we went through some a little bit of let's say challenges as it pertains to technology, but we made it work. So we're really happy about that. So guys, this week's recovery episode with Gary Malin, CEO at the Corcoran Group, is now over, and you can catch this episode on YouTube and on all platforms streaming podcasts as usual. And remember, in the recovery, don't just get back to the same place, but always strive to get to a better place. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time today. That was an honor.
Wow, right back at you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for the time. Have a good day ahead.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.